Welcome to the League of Women Voters Greater Rockford Candidate Forum. I am Joy Jordan, member of the Greater Rockford Chapter and the moderator for today's forum. The League encourages informed and active participation in government and works to influence public policy through education and advocacy. The League is a nonpartisan volunteer organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates for elected office. Our goal today is to provide a virtual forum that gives the candidates an opportunity to share with you their positions on key topics. The views expressed by these candidates are their own, not the views of the League. The questions asked today have been previously submitted and reviewed for clarity and appropriateness for the forum today. This is not a debate. There is no rebuttal. The candidates will be presenting a 2-minute opening statement, given 2 minutes to respond to questions, and a 2-minute closing statement. The opening statements will be by alphabetical order. The closing statement, reverse alphabetical order. The responses of the candidates are being timed, and they will receive notices of 30 seconds left on their response time and must stop after completing their sentence when their time has expired. This session is being recorded. It is copyrighted by and is the property of the League of Women Voters, Greater Rockford. Candidates, please unmute your microphones and start your videos. The candidates participating in this forum today seeking election to the office of County Board District 4. They are Brad Lindmark and Elizabeth Lindquist. There we go. We will begin the opening statements first by Mr. Lindmark, followed by Ms. Lindquist. Each candidate has 2 minutes for their comments. So, Mr. Lindmark, please begin your opening statements.
All right, first of all, thank you for having me. I've been a lifelong resident of Winnebago County in the Roscoe area for the last 23 years. Been married 33 years with a 20-year-old son and a 17-year-old daughter. Work locally at a manufacturing plant as a sales manager. I've been in manufacturing 34 years, so in management and sales. So the first thing with being elected, if I'm elected to the board, is there's several things that work together that I stand for. Number one is law and order. It's the pillar of our society. Without law and order, you really don't have anything. And all these kind of tie hand in hand. The next would be economic development. My business experience the last 33 years in sales and management and negotiations. We really need the economic development in Winnebago County to help with the tax revenue, which is another item, taxes, which I stand for. I need to be the steward of our tax dollars. With the state of Illinois and Winnebago County, we are losing residents and businesses with our high taxes. We just cannot continue to raise taxes. We need to increase the economic development and get more revenue in. Another area is budget planning. We need to have more long-term budget planning, not waiting for the last month or two to develop our budgets, and more accurate forecasting with our tax revenue dollars for the next year. Land use planning, we had a problem in this district with the asphalt plant. That should have been planned out, in my opinion, much more in advance. So we need to work on our land use planning. And the final item that kind of ties them all together is getting the board to work together, forming a board and being part of a board that Winnebago County can be proud of. And that's the main items that I stand for. Thank you.
Thank you for your opening comments. Ms. Lindquist, opening comments, please.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Lindquist. Thank you very much to the League for hosting this forum today, for inviting me. I've been a longtime member of the League of Women Voters because I am very passionate about the same kind of things that the League is passionate about, voting, democracy, letting everyone have a voice. I am an oncology pharmacist a current elected Roscoe Township trustee and a longtime anti-corruption activist. I first got involved in activism and trying to end the corrupting influence of money in our political system many years ago, after the death of my ex-husband. He had no health insurance, a lot of medical bills. The fear of another hospital bill was greater than the fear of what might happen if he didn't go. He lived alone, he didn't go. And after that incident, I really started looking at how the system is rigged against working people. And I really got involved in investigating the issues that underlie all the other issues. And in my opinion, that's the corrupting influence of money in politics and our rigged system. So I got involved in that fight. I stayed in that fight for a long time. I got frustrated in that fight. I realized I really couldn't uncorrupt Washington, D.C. or Springfield. But if I got involved in local elections and in local politics, that I might be able to fix things there. That's when I got elected to the township. And I've been there serving with people who don't think really anything like me about politics on a national level. And we've been working together really well to improve transparency and accountability and responsiveness of township government. And I very much want to get involved in the Winnebago County Board and do the same thing in Winnebago County.
Thank you both for your opening comments. We will now turn to the questions that have been submitted. Each one of you will have 2 minutes to answer the question, and I will alternate between the two of you. We will start alphabetically. Mr. Lindmark, you will answer the question first. Party lines are drawn deep, and voting for issues do not always reflect the best for constituents. What plan do you have to assist with creating partnerships in the total county board that lessens the deep party lines and provides constituents with well thought out results? So Mr. Lindmark, your comments first.
I spoke about that a little bit earlier with my experience in management and dealing with big corporations, negotiations, and forming teamwork. We really need to get the old adage, bipartisan, work together. But I believe with my experience in negotiations and forming teams with big corporations, being on councils and whatnot, I think it's a good fit to get everybody to work together, to come together. The board has been divided for too long now. My plan basically is to talk, to get together, to negotiate. As far as getting along, eliminating that deep divide, Republican, Democrat type divide, it's senseless. We have to be for the people. We were elected by the people, work for the people. We lose track of that way too often in all forms of our government. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Lindquist, your response to the question?
One of the things I think people don't really understand until they get involved in local government is that the divisions within local government really tend to be more insiders versus outsiders as opposed to Republicans versus Democrats. If you look at the dividing lines in the current county board, I would definitely say that's the case. So getting people who are fiercely independent, who are in this and running for a local office because they just really have a passion for making local government work is important. And getting folks that aren't, you know, just too overly allied with, you know, the local power structure. So I think I've definitely done this on the Roscoe Township Board. I serve there with people that don't think like me on a lot of national issues. Many of them are supporting me in this race because they have seen me do the work. They've seen me dig into an issue, figure out the best way to solve it, which is usually the least expensive way to solve it. And not the least, well, not the least expensive, but the most efficient for the use of our tax dollars. And then go out and actually do the work. And they've seen me do that, and that's why they're supporting me in this race. And it really can be done. You have to have goals that you all agree on, but those other issues, the national issues, can be set aside to work on common goals on the local level. And I've definitely got experience doing that, and I'm looking forward to continuing to do that on the county board.
Thank you for your response to the questions, both of you. Second question. What do you see as the significant issues for your district, and how do you plan to address these issues? Please be as specific as possible. Ms. Lindquist, we start with you on this question.
For this district, I think people are frustrated with, people are just frustrated with government generally. I've been out knocking on doors, talking to a lot of voters here in District 4. I think they're really baffled when they look at the county board about what's going on there. They see a lot of infighting, and they don't get why that is happening. I've actually talked to a lot of people who have been concerned about what has happened with the chairman's position over the last several years, and are supportive of the county executive referendum because they feel like they were disenfranchised when the board voted to strip the chairman of most of his power. So that seems like a wonky thing, but when you get talking to voters, they are very concerned about actually being represented and having their views respected. And that's something that I've actually been really surprised as I've been talking to voters about how many were concerned about that whole issue. They're concerned about corruption. They are very concerned about what happened with the coroner and his wife, and they're being arrested for embezzlement. They want to make sure that that no tax dollars, like, it's, we're struggling for every dollar we get. And the idea that anybody is tolerating any tax dollars being diverted to individuals that are being allowed to take that, steal, is just really crazy to them. So I think although those are issues that probably affect everybody in the county, those are actually issues that I've heard a lot about from folks up here. And given the fact that our property taxes are insanely high, I don't at all blame them. They want to get a good value for their money. They want honest representation.
Thank you for your answer to the question. Mr. Lindmark, your response to the question, please.
Yeah, I too, like Elizabeth, have been knocking on a lot of doors and heard some of the same answers. The chairmanship and worried what was going on there. The board seeming to be divided, not working together very well. And the biggest thing I've heard is the taxes. Our property taxes are through the roof, which is why I wanted to bring more economic development into the area, including our district. There's plenty of land, if it's developed properly, that we could bring a lot of business to and increase the revenue dollars coming in, which at worst would be able to hold our taxes where they're at. We just can't afford any more tax dollars being spent. Have to keep a good eye on our tax dollars. I think the high taxes and the chairmanship and the problems they've been having now, along with our district didn't have representation for almost 100 days. They're still paying their taxes without representation. So those are the biggest issues I feel there are in our District 4. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your response. The next question. Rockford is economically, ethnically, as well as regionally somewhat diverse because of the way we're sort of spread out. So in respect to the whole county, how do the priorities of the whole county differ from the priorities in your district, and what do you see as your role in addressing these differences? Mr. Lindmark, we start with you for your response.
Number one, which I spoke of, was law and order. The biggest District 4 does not have a lot of crime, fortunately, at the moment. Other areas of Winnebago County do. It's very important to keep law and order in our community. Without law and order, you're not going to have economic development. You're going to have people moving out. The school systems are going to go down. It's just number one, law and order, which I think they're doing a very good job at working with the communities, getting out in the communities, which I think everybody needs to do in all districts. Be representing County 4, but working for the whole county. So you really need to get a hold of, the whole county needs to be involved. We need to work together to solve some of these issues we're seeing at the present time. But I think overall, Rockford and Winnebago County are doing a pretty good job of that. always room for improvement, and need to do more of that. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. Ms. Lindquist, your response to the question?
So the question, as I recall it, I should have made notes, was how the needs of District 4 are different than the whole county. I think that was it. Yeah.
Yes, that's
Okay.
the essence of the question.
So there, obviously, to echo what Brad said, crime is significant in Rockford. However, here we have had in at least in the ledges where I live, a lot of robberies and break-ins to vehicles. And one of the things that I have had residents express to me is the need for more patrolling by the sheriff's department up here, because I've lived here for nearly 20 years, and the amount of break-ins in the middle of the night in vehicles here and in garages here recently is really unusual. And the sheriff's department did succeed in catching, we believe, some of those folks, but I don't think that is over. However, we don't have much violent crime up here, and that's wonderful. We do. It is interesting though to me that everyone thinks that they know how to solve problems that aren't in their own area. And I am very interested in focusing on the problems in District 4 and really letting the folks in the communities that are affected by other problems take the lead with those issues. So I'm really not interested in dictating how policing is done down in Rockford. I think folks in Rockford should be able to determine that for themselves, and those communities should be able to determine that for themselves.
Thank you for your response. The next question: how are you planning to handle any debt that occurs in the Winnebago County Board budget? Ms. Lindquist, we will start with you.
This is so difficult. I know that the board was faced with a very difficult decision a couple of weeks ago in raising property taxes, but they ended up deciding to raise property taxes on a very small increase in property taxes. However, our property taxes are so excessive and so out of line with other states that I would look at literally any other options that we had. I would have taken the position with some of the board members who wanted to take that $900,000 from the host fees to close that budget gap. I think the reserves that we have and the host fees are there for a rainy day, and this is definitely a rainy day. So I am not in favor of really ever raising property taxes. I think all of our departments need to live within their budgets, and that we can't have certain departments that are always not meeting their budget goals and allowing them to continue to do that. And I think the board has come up with some creative solutions for that. Well, not solutions, but creative ways to mitigate some departments going over their budget. And I think we need to continue to focus on that, because I don't think it matters whether you're public health or public safety. All departments need to live within their budgets.
Thank you. Mr. Lindmark, your response, please.
Yeah, this is a problem all over the country, not just Winnebago County. And I believe we should have tapped into some of the reserves also, as Elizabeth spoke to. I mean, if this isn't a rainy day, I don't know what is. Again, economic development. I know the economy's down right now. It's hard to bring companies into this area, new businesses, but that's one avenue to help with bringing in. We have to bring in, there's no doubt about it, we have to bring in more tax revenue into this county. The other thing is the real estate taxes. Again, I feel like a broken record. They're way too high. I didn't agree with that decision, but they were faced with some tough decisions. I didn't agree with adding more to our real estate. This is, it's a bad time, but I think we should have looked at different avenues instead of the taxes. There are a lot of different areas we could have went to. So it's a tough situation, but I believe everybody live within their budget and find some different avenues to go, and host fees, different areas. There were things you could have done, reserves, etc. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. Housing, specifically evictions and foreclosures, are occurring during this pandemic. How are you staying abreast with the severity in your district, and what are you doing to assist your constituents and to reduce the number of foreclosures or evictions in your district? Mr. Lindmark, your response, please.
I'm not aware of it being a big problem in District 4, although I'm just not aware of it if it is. We have to come up with some programs. Nobody needs to be out on the street. The answer to that, I don't know if I have it sitting here today, but I think possibly another committee should be formed to discuss this. Nobody needs to be thrown out of their home. There has to be some ways around it. Again, maybe some emergency reserves until they get back on their feet. Something needs to be done. I wish I had the one answer for you right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lindquist, do you have a response to this question?
Well, I currently have constituents because I'm a Roscoe Township trustee, but to be helping, that was kind of odd part of the question, helping our constituents since we haven't been elected to District 4 yet. But there are areas in District 4 which I'm sure are affected. I have not had anybody reach out to me as a township trustee and ask for assistance, but it clearly is going to be an ongoing problem. I know at the state level, the governor, I believe there was an eviction moratorium in effect for a time, and there may now be a foreclosure. You know, we also have issues with foreclosures. Both evictions and foreclosures, I think, are best dealt with at the federal level, because the local government doesn't have a lot of money to assist those folks. I mean, once you start saying that people can't be evicted from rental property, then we have to look at, well, what about the landlords? You know, the landlords need the rent in order to pay whatever loan they have on the property. So it's got to be looked at globally, and I think the only source of funding for something like that is the federal government, and I believe that we desperately need more disaster relief from the federal government. Not just, I think we need relief for state and local governments, and I think we need relief for our bars and restaurants. I think we need relief for homeowners and renters and landlords, because this is truly a natural disaster, and the funds just aren't there to mitigate all of the problems that folks are having right now at the state and local level.
All right. Thank you for your response. Both of you have talked a little bit about crime and violence and some of the other issues. So this question sort of refers to some of those topics. Gun violence is in the news daily here in Winnebago County. What do you see as your role to reduce gun violence in our whole county? What specific programs would you support? Would you support more police transparency through more thorough investigations? As one example, would you support that or not? Ms. Lindquist, your response?
So if the question is, do I support more police transparency in relation to gun violence and more thorough investigations? I'm a little bit confused about the question. If the question is about investigating incidents like shootings, actual shootings, certainly I support more thorough investigations. I think we've had I believe, record number of shootings this year in Winnebago County. I'm not totally up on all these statistics. I know, and I'm sure many crimes are solved. And I know it's difficult to solve shootings when if folks in the community can't, or for some reason can't talk about it. But I definitely think that we need more thorough investigations of every single shooting, whether it's regardless of who's shooting who.
Thank you. Mr. Lindmark, your comment, please.
I too think if you're referring to police shootings, I think they do have adequate, they have independent investigators doing it. It's not the office or the department that had the shooting, although they're all unfortunate. Yeah, you could always add, you can always improve on anything you do. So yeah, you could improve on that, but I don't think it's inadequate. As far as the gun violence itself is a whole in the community, it's a major problem. We have to find a way to get some of these guns off the streets. We need help with the community cooperating with law enforcement. A lot of times they know who the culprit may be, but they don't want to talk. It's a major issue. I mean, like I keep saying, law and order, if you don't have it, it's gonna affect everything from economic development all down the road. Transparency, yeah, I believe in transparency. You're getting a lot of cameras the officers are wearing, although that does cost money. You're getting a lot more public statements. I think it's moving in the right direction. I know that our police department, sheriff, and city police have many programs with the communities that they're out in with youth and whatnot. So I think doing a good job overall, a really good job for what they have to deal with every day. But yes, there's always room for improvement. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. That ends our question section, and now we will begin our closing statements. Ms. Lindquist, you will be asked to give yours first, followed by Mr. Lindmark, and you each have 2 minutes. So Ms. Lindquist, your closing statement, please.
So thank you so much for hosting this forum. Thank you for having us. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to the public and league members. It's obviously been very difficult in this current pandemic situation to campaign at all. And so I really appreciate all these opportunities to speak to the public. I would just like to really, say that I really believe that I am uniquely qualified for this position. We probably have 17% of the population of Winnebago County working in healthcare. I don't think we have no healthcare professionals on the county board, no one with an advanced degree in science of any type. I have the experience as a local elected official, having been with the township and working on a government board, working well to improve transparency and accountability on a board for almost 4 years now. Having earned the support of several of my Republican County Board or Republican Township Board members. And I think my long history as an anti-corruption activist, being independent, being willing to stand up to the powers that be in my own party, whether it's the local party structure or Mike Madigan. I'm willing to be independent and stand up against corruption in any form. And I'm very interested in getting onto the board and really taking a deep dive into how Winnebago County operates and what I can do to help make our county more open, transparent, responsive to the people. I plan on continuing the work that, just like I do with the township, I respond to every phone call that I get. I'm very responsive to my constituents. And I'm excited to be able to be responsive to them and help them out with a whole new slew of issues because township government doesn't do that much. And so I really feel that I can help the people here a lot more on the county board. And I'm very glad. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Lindmark, your closing statement.
Thank you again for having both of us. It's been a pleasure, and it is hard to do any type of campaigning with the pandemic. But I stated earlier, I feel there's just a better need for planning in the county in regards to revenue forecasting, sales tax and property taxes. There's budgeting issues, public safety. I want to be the voice for District 4 and for Winnebago County as a whole. By bringing people together through teamwork, negotiations, caring for others, and common sense, I think we can bring some unity and work together in the county as a whole. I feel it can be achieved with all the board members, not just for District 4 to improve, but the county as a whole. Make this county board something all of Winnebago can be proud of. I feel with my experience in manufacturing and negotiations, et cetera, contracts, I can be, fits me good. I can do this. I can bring economic development into District 4 and all of Winnebago County. I know I would be representing District 4, but I would be also working for the whole county. That's important to me, that the county succeeds. We have to do a better job, and I know I can help do that better job and represent the people of District 4. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you, both of you, for participating today in our forum. This forum was brought to you by the League of Women Voters of Greater Rockford Chapter. Please exercise your right to vote on November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.